Hello everyone, Shivam here and welcome to another episode of Key Concepts, a series where I share 3 key takeaways from recent books that I've read. The Psychology of Money is a popular book by Morgan Housel where the author goes over themes focused on the mindset of money and more specifically, investing. His style of writing is light and the brief book has a good combination of stories, insights, lessons and wisdom to keep the casual self-help reader interested. In this video, I will go over 3 of the most impactful ideas in the book so as to give you a clear understanding of the takeaways that it provides. And along with this, towards the latter half of this video, I will also let you know my thoughts on the book. Spoiler alert, it's going to be a bit more critical than my other reviews and I hope you stick around till the end of the video to know why. Keeping that in mind, I promise that my opinion of the book does not affect the key takeaways that I will present, since I believe in putting forward the strongest version of someone else's point as a service to both their intelligence and mine. As a caveat, I want to state that I am no expert when it comes to matters concerning money. I do, however, hold a master's degree in industrial psychology, which is a field highly dependent on research and empiricism. This fact is relevant, especially for my critique section in the latter half of this video. As a summary, here are my biggest takeaways from this book. The compounding effect of money takes time and patience. What's rational and what suits you may not be the same. It makes sense to have a static financial goal as opposed to an evolving one. Let's dive into number 1. The compounding effect of money takes time and hence patience. Before we talk about the takeaway in this section, let's briefly talk about what the compounding effect of money is. Compounding is the ability of an asset to generate earnings, which are then reinvested or remain invested with the goal of generating their own earnings. In other words, compounding refers to generating earnings from previous earnings. Suppose you invest $10,000 into a truck company. The first year, the shares rise 10%. Your investment is now worth $11,000. Based on good performance, you hold the stock. And in the second year, the shares appreciate another 10%. Therefore, your $11,000 grows to $12,100. Rather than your shares appreciating an additional $1,000 like they did in the first year, they appreciate an additional $1,100 because the $1,000 you gained in the first year grew by 10% as well. So just to let you know, I've taken this information from amgfunds.com, so you can go and check their explanations out if you're more curious about that. And now that we have this common understanding, we can move on. The author quotes Charlie Munger in reiterating that the first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. From this, Housel goes on to say that the most important approach one needs is that of patience. While this is obvious, what was new information for me was the conditions the author states that are important for setting up this patience. His position, which I think made a lot of practical sense, is that different people will be able to exhibit that patience differently according to their own life circumstance. For some, it may be necessary to interrupt the compounding process due to impending payments that are unavoidable. And conversely, some people would be able to comfortably allow compounding to go on uninterrupted. The major lesson then is to set up compounding considering one's own context. For me, since I am a salaried person with mainly one stream of income, it makes most sense to set aside a smaller amount every month in a locked-in investment, and then partition my portfolio to include more liquidity. This partition would allow me to let the compounding go on without any hindrance. Let me know in the comment section down below what you must consider about compounding in your own context. Point number 2. What's rational and what suits you may not be the same. Morgan Housel throughout the book says that what is recommended by experts as the most rational investing strategy and what is suitable for any one person may not always be in alignment. He uses his own example, stating that although he knows that it isn't the soundest financial advice to invest capital in your own home when one can invest in other higher yielding investment options, he prefers to do that because he likes to have the security of living in a home that he owns with his wife. He then goes on to say that this is a decision that he is absolutely okay with because his emphasis on a secure home is a higher need for him than to employ the best possible investment strategy. On the face of it, this makes sense, and Housel's statement has given me permission to be a little bit more deliberate about my own investment strategy. I tend to only invest in spaces I have done my due diligence on, and as a result, take time in diversifying my portfolio, something which is highly recommended by experts. One key takeaway for me after reading this book is to customize my approach based on my lifestyle and personality. As a result, I don't mind investing in one asset class till I wait to get more information on whether other asset classes are right for me. This would be a more tailored approach rather than rushing to diversify my investment portfolio and be uncomfortable with overextending myself. Point 3. It makes sense to have a static financial goal as opposed to an evolving one. Housel uses the phrase changing the goalpost to represent people increasing their expectations as they see higher amounts of success when it comes to their finances. He states that having higher expectations of the quality of one's life can cause people to make risky investments or dip into their savings for lifestyle-related purchases. While I think it is normal for people to change their expectations as their life circumstances change, I think it is also possible to identify a stable financial goal that envisions a comfortable life for oneself. I think in stating this point, Housel wanted to emphasize that there are many forces out there that make us want to move the goalpost. We are social beings, and seeing our close friends and relatives make financial decisions in a certain way can be compelling for a lot of people. I have often felt this with the progression of my career. While I have seen progress, there is always someone on LinkedIn who has the enviable position of making quick advances in their career as compared to my own. I have noticed that whenever I do this, it alters the expectations that I have with relation to the progress that I am making. This can apply to finances as well. Housel goes on to finish his point saying that in most cases, the initial goal would be enough to live a comfortable life, and maintaining this goal is a challenge. That being said, there may be certain circumstances under which shifting the goalpost may be a good thing. Maybe the goal was too low, and new success helps people realize that revising the goal is more in tune with what they want given their current circumstance. Or conversely, maybe the goal was too lofty, causing a lot of stress and heartache when it actually all was moving along just fine. Counting all these exceptions and giving Housel the benefit of the doubt, I think the essence of what he was trying to say was to avoid changing financial goals in a way that would cause one to either dip into their savings, make risky investment decisions, or feel unnecessarily discomforted by their current life trajectory. So, that was all the good stuff. Before I go on, I would like to request you to please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It goes a long way in helping the audience of this channel grow and keeps me motivated to churn out more content. Moving on, I do have a critical view on some of the aspects of this book. If you folks know me, you know that I don't usually speak or add critical opinions in my takeaway series, but I felt that I had to mention these. For starters, even though the book is called Psychology of Money, it contains very little actual psychology. Psychology is the scientific study of mind and behavior. This is a point up for discussion, but modern psychologists use the scientific method to make generalizable inferences about human behavior. As someone who has an advanced degree in psychology, it makes me very uneasy when authors throw around the word psychology like in this case. And I think this is not just semantics but an important distinction. In the case of this book, the author is clearly not leveraging the knowledge from any scientific approach, but rather he's using his very well-formed and clearly articulated opinion. If he were to call the book What I Think About How Others Perceive Money or something of the like, I wouldn't be complaining. Another thing that irked me about the author's writing was his constant use of generalizations. For actual psychologists to make a generalizable statement takes a lot of work. One of which is to reconstruct earlier experiments in new contexts and with new research method. It's tedious and takes thousands of hours of diligent and meticulous work. However, Housel made so many unfounded generalizations in this book that I have lost track. Unfortunately, this form of generalizing may be necessary to sell popular books, but I don't think it's doing the readers any favors. If you want to know more about this, check out my video titled Why I Think Self-Help Doesn't Really Help here. Thank you for watching everybody and have a great rest of your day.